Who we talking to?
Ourselves.
Welcome back to the Mc Marren podcast. As a celebration of May the 4th be with you, or when this comes out, Revenge of the 6th, we are talking about Star Wars.
Yep, and we are recording on May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you, and May the Force be with everyone. So, because...
And also with you.
And with your spirit.
And with your Force ghost. So, because this is our first time talking about Star Wars, this is going to be kind of just a general what we think about and what we like and what we don't like, so about the whole franchise in and of itself, because...
The highs, the lows, the yays, the no's.
Because George Lucas started this franchise all the way back in 1977 and is still going on to this day. So, congratulations to George. Alright, so, first question. It's kind of a general one, but how was everybody introduced to Star Wars? Tori.
I don't even remember. I'm going to go with the safe answer and say... My parents. I don't remember the first time I watched Star Wars. I do remember that we watched the original trilogy before we went and saw the prequels.
Okay.
So I do remember that. But I don't have a memory of like my parents sitting me down and being like, and now we're going to show you the most important sci-fi cinematic thing in history. I don't have a memory like that. It was there. It just showed up one
Similar
day.
Similar to me, because, you know...
Same household.
But it's just... Parents like Star Wars. So what they do? Hey, maybe we should show the kids Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes family movie night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Justin?
So, my first memory of Star Wars was actually when the first re-release of like the special editions came out in theaters. I remember my parents taking me and my sister to see it, and that was my first real introduction to Star Wars. And then I just remember we had Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi on like a recorded tape from TV, and I watched that a lot. So that was my whole introduction to Star Wars.
We had it, I remember the originals, we had it on VHS.
Yep.
And it was a very big deal when we got it on DVD the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we had Star Wars trivia.
Oh yes, the Star Wars trivia games, Seen It, Trivia Pursuit,
Yeah.
all that jazz. I think though, the biggest memory I have in my head regarding Star Wars...
The Star Wars chess set.
Oh yeah, we had a Star Wars chess set.
And Dad's Darth Vader helmet, which we still have.
But I don't remember how old I was, but I remember my dad and my mom talking about Star Wars, and my dad maintained that he always knew. Back when he first saw the movie in 1977, he knew that this was not a story about Luke. This was not a story about Leia. This was not even a story about Chewbacca. This whole point of this story was Darth Vader. The beginning, the middle, and the end. It's all Darth Vader.
Just because he's the first character that shows up.
Yeah, but he was like, you know how some people, there are people who are like, I knew it was going to be Luke's father, which, by the way, no, you didn't. You did not know the biggest cinematic reveal in history. You didn't know that.
Even the people starring the movie didn't know that. The
Yes.
only two people that knew that was George Lucas and Mark Hamill.
So unless you're George Lucas or Mark Hamill, you didn't know that.
Which, hearing the story of this, we are about to tell you the secret. Once you hear it, I'll know, he'll know, and you'll know. And if it leaks, we'll know it was you.
But he maintained that he knew that this story, the focus of the story was Darth Vader. And, I remember, the reason I remember this is because it was when the prequel trilogy was coming out, and we started focusing on Anakin and Anakin's turn to the dark side and everything, and my dad was like, called it. I called it 30 years ago. I said that this was what this was all about. I called it then. I was right. You all were wrong.
Yeah.
And my mom being like, there is no way you could have known that. And he's like, yes, I did.
Yeah, I actually I grew up watching the original trilogy, but I did watch the prequel trilogy, and that was like my Star Wars. That was like my generation's Star Wars. This is what I grew up watching a lot. And I remember, kind of going off of you, like, biggest memory I had was when we went to see Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and it was like me and two of my other friends, we went to go see it. We all brought our own lightsabers to school, and we all watched it. It was just that movie-going experience that you can't really replicate nowadays.
Yeah. Now, we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way, because I am a weirdo when it comes to the Star Wars franchise. If I'm being completely honest, I don't care about most of the people in the film. Like, I'm sitting there hoping that giant boulder falls on Luke and that he learns a lesson. I'm sitting there going, you all are annoying me. The only person who doesn't annoy me who's on screen is the Wookiee. Can I get more of the Wookiee? Can I get more of the Ewoks? Can I get more of those little Arctic foxes? I watch Star Wars for the creatures. I like the creatures of Star Wars more than I like the people.
You like the setting.
I like the setting and I like the creatures. I don't like the people.
Well, that kind of
That's fair.
Kind of bounces to my next question.
But here's my question. My question is, what is everybody's favorite Star Wars creature?
Okay.
Not a person, a non-human entity.
Okay.
And I say non-human because that does open us up to some characters who have been introduced. But
Okay.
Non-human.
Okay, just for clarification, we mean non-sentient characters. So Yoda, who is not human, is not on this list.
He could be. He's technically a creature.
So basically any non-human, sentient
Okay.
or otherwise.
Did I just say non-human?
Yeah, I'm just adding his point because he's talking about sentience. But anyway.
And by the way, R2-D2 is totally a sentient creature. But okay, Colin.
He's more sentient than everyone.
Yeah,
else.
Colin. Who's your favorite non-human character? Let's go with that non-human character.
There we go.
R2. Especially because I can imagine that he's swearing the entire time.
Oh, you know he's swearing the entire time.
I have no evidence he is. But it just...
Or
He's
that,
screaming at least half the time.
that back talk he keeps on having when C-3PO is like, we're going this way. R2's like, no, we're going this way, you idiot.
My favorite, although I probably already gave it away, my favorite is Chewbacca. One of the few characters who has been in every iteration of the franchise. If you're not counting animated Clone Wars and new things that are only made for TV and not movies.
He wasn't in. He was only in episode 3. He wasn't in.
He was still in the prequel series. It still counts.
All right.
It still counts. Let the Wookiee win. My second favorite would be the Ewoks. So I guess I just like bears.
And you married a zookeeper.
Yeah.
But yet, ironically enough, I don't take care of bears.
No, you two elephants.
So my favorite non-human character is, for a long time, it was R2-D2, just because he was such a fun little droid.
Yeah.
But with the Mandalorian TV show, I'm just gonna have to say Grogu.
I knew it was gonna be Grogu.
He's wearing a Grogu shirt.
He
I
is.
have to just say that because we don't have video. But
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's just so adorable. The little dude, he just gets up to so much mischief, and then you find out that he's force sensitive, and it's just like.
Of course he is.
Of course he is.
Of course the child is force sensitive.
Yeah, but he's just so adorable.
Now, I'm going to steal one more question from you. Counter question. Who is your least favorite character?
Jar Jar.
Why?
That was
are they
fast.
so mean? Okay, but it's Jar Jar the character, not Jar Jar the actor. Like, not the actor who played him.
Ahmed Best.
I have no idea who plays him. And
Yeah.
Ahmed Best, yeah. So
it's probably a great actor. It's just, I hate Jar Jar.
So let's just put this out of the way now. When we're talking about like least favorite character, this has nothing to do with the actors portraying these characters.
Yes.
We're talking about strictly the character as they're written and shown on screen, not the actor behind the character.
Yeah. For me, if you're taking Jar Jar off the table, I'm gonna have to go with Jabba the Hutt.
Really?
Even in the original series, I was just kind of like, nah.
I mean,
You're a rich guy who's kind of a sleaze and you hang out with criminals. Nothing really new.
I mean, he's pretty much like the godfather of the underworld in the Star Wars universe. That's kind of on point for him.
Yeah, but I was just like, nothing new.
he shows up
Nothing
on
new.
screen for a bit.
I mean,
He's a giant slug
the
monster.
joy. I mean, it was one of those things where it was like, I enjoyed his character's demise because go Leia, woohoo, girl power. But I didn't feel he added or took away anything really. Like, you could have put any other bad guy type character into that scenario, and it would have ended the same.
Yeah, but I mean,
You probably could have.
There was
put in some we already had.
I guess to say is that like there was nothing that endeared him to me as a character. Like, there are some bad guys in the Star Wars universe that when you see them, you're just like, oh, I hate this person so much. And then there's the ones that where you're like, they terrify me, like Darth Vader in the dark, surrounded by smoke. That's very scary all the time.
we'll get to him in a later on.
Or when Emperor Palpatine comes back at the very end, and you're like, how are you not dead?
Well, also get to that in a little
But
bit.
I didn't have any of those feelings for Jabba the Hutt. It was just like, meh, he's a slug. I don't care.
I think another way of putting it is, he should be this intimidating figure,
Yeah.
right? Because we grew up on villains.
Yeah.
Every villain should have a unique design,
Yeah.
unique character, and presence. And yes, it is a weird slug creature.
Yeah.
But this is Star Wars. We kind of expect the unusual. So it's not that much of a presence.
The creatures that were around him were a lot more interesting, in my opinion, than he was.
The way I look at Jabba the Hutt is that, here's a, kind of going off of what you said, Colin, the design of Jabba the Hutt is memorable. You never forget the look of Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, yeah.
And you never forget his face. He's like, oh, wah, cha, cha, ha, ha, ha. Like, you never forget the way he talks. And then, here's a guy who has risen to so much power that stuff just happens in front of him. And it's just like, everyone is afraid of him. Just as an army of bounty hunters after doing whatever it is. And it's just like, I don't know. I guess I just have to disagree that I like Jabba the Hutt.
I mean, I'm not. It's just he doesn't thrill me.
Okay.
I see him as a means to an end.
All right. For me, it's going to be a little bit of a deep cut for some sequel fans. I cannot stand Kylo Ren.
That's
See,
fair.
I was still staying in the non-humanoid creatures.
Non-humanoid
but
category?
okay.
If we're going for non-human, then...
Tell us how you really feel.
If it's going for non-human, then I have to go with the Jawas.
Okay.
I cannot... It's like they're little thieves that just hide out in their gigantic fortress that essentially just are annoying.
Okay, so now you've raised the question of humanoid creatures. Who do you dislike and why?
Kylo Ren.
Okay, well, first let me explain
Boom.
Jar Jar Binks.
Okay.
First off, he's annoying.
Misa's so annoying.
Second, he's the one who sets all of the bad stuff off.
He did give Chancellor Palpatine the emergency powers needed to essentially convert the Republic into
We
an
never
empire.
said he was smart.
And yet he was allowed in the...
That is setting up for a much too easy joke about the government, and I'm not going to do it. But you can make your own inferences about a joke there.
Let's just say, for all of time, all of history, governments have had stupid people.
You know what?
We're going to leave it there.
Yeah, we're just going to leave it there.
Yep.
I'm not going to say who, or what, or when, or how,
Or which
or
government group we're talking about.
But That is all into. Now, if I had to choose the new stuff, I would say my least favorite non-human character is Babu Frick. And I say this not because he's annoying. He's just forgettable. He showed up once to do exactly one thing, which was to effectively kill off a character, which Disney, I don't appreciate. And then, while you're, processing the death of C-3PO, oh, well, R2 just fixed him. So he's not dead.
R2, the hardest working droid in the entire universe.
It's like what they did with Chewie. Chewie might be dead. Rey might have killed him. And then the very next scene, boom, he's alive.
I'm just gonna say
That's
that was not
works.
an okay moment. Having that brief panic where you think that Rey possibly killed Chewbacca. I'm just gonna say this. If that had been the way the story had gone, I would have immediately been like, okay, whoever is against her, I'm on their side.
Well, going back to the original idea, though, so I already said my non-favorite human character. Who is yours?
Kylo Ren, the edgy emo boy.
Yeah, I'll get to him after everyone else says their piece, because I have a lot to
So
say.
mine is, I don't think it, okay, I have an entire issue with any guy, any male, bearing the name Skywalker. I have an issue. It's a very long issue, and it's basically they're all whiny little sand rats who have mommy issues. All of them. Anywho, but if I had to pick one person outside of the Skywalker family, it's gonna be Hux.
Yeah.
General Hux.
Yeah,
His heel turn in Rise of Skywalker was just like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
it's like, okay, you started off with General Hux giving the biggest parallel to Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the best part of the whole of...
Oh, no, I'm changing my answer. Because I was like, I'm just disappointed with Hux in general. But then I was like, nope, there's somebody who disappointed me more.
Captain Phasma?
Captain Phasma.
Captain.
I was
going to go with Admiral Hall, though,
so,
but alright.
I was so excited
You were so hyped up.
to see Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma standing at least a foot above all the others, just being this epic female warrior for, yeah, I know she's a bad guy, okay? I don't care.
Bad guys can be cool.
Yes, she was set up to be so cool. And then they did absolutely nothing.
She was essentially the Boba Fett of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, it's just like, and
not even that.
nothing. At least with Hux, I wasn't hoping for much. But with Phasma, I was hoping for so much, and they just...
Nope.
Poof.
Yep. Alright, Colin.
Okay, so not including those two, which is difficult. Okay, going for a character in the first 6 movies, I'm gonna say least favorite human character is Django.
Really?
There's a take.
Now,
Yeah, that's a
Django
hot
has a cool backstory. He's set up as this big bad bounty hunter that all the clones are cloned after.
take. Mm-hmm.
But when he gets to his actual job of assassinating Amidala, instead of just assassinating Amidala, which he could have done, he hired a guy to hire a guy hire a guy to use bugs to kill Amidala. And then, when that didn't work, instead of, while the two Jedi are busy chasing after one of the people, and he has plenty of opportunity to kill his target, like a good assassin, he just goes and kills his assassin friend instead.
There is a lesson to be learned here, people. The lesson is, do it yourself.
Finish the job.
Alright, so, like I said, I do not like Kylo Ren at all.
Can I guess the reason why?
Why?
Is it because he's a whiny little Vader fanboy?
That is a big part of it. Alright, so, Kylo Ren is supposed to be the Darth Vader of the sequel trilogy. Let's just put it out there right now. He was, in The Force Awakens, he was built up to be like the inheritor of Darth Vader's mantle, right?
Yes.
We see him talking to the charred remains with Darth Vader's mask. He wields a red lightsaber. He's the leader of the First Order. And he's supposed to be this big bad. And then, we see him with his helmet on, and at his first major scene, when they find Luke's lightsaber has been taken by Rey, and he's told this information, what does he do?
Throws a tantrum and trashes a room.
He throws a tantrum, destroys a control panel, force chokes an officer, and goes, "What girl?" And I'm like,
And you're comparing it to Darth Vader.
Yep.
Because
and then not only he kills Harrison Ford, by the way, he kills Han Solo. Spoiler alert, sorry. He kills Han Solo, which is probably one of the coolest characters in the franchise ever, because
front of Chewbacca.
And by the way, Kylo Ren is Ben Solo. In other words, his son is killing his dad, so thanks for that.
Full circle.
And then he's supposed to be like, oh, this tortured soul. He keeps on flip-flopping back and forth between the good and the bad, much like his grandpa. Yeah. No. It does not portray that way at all. As soon as he kills, in the second movie, he and Rey kill the Supreme Leader, Emperor Snoke, right?
Yes.
And then
which was an awesome battle. That was an awesome battle.
It was awesomely looking. It wasn't a very good battle, in my opinion.
Okay, but it was still cool.
Okay, yes, but after killing Snoke and essentially destroying the head of the First Order,
and the Knights of Ren,
what does he do? He assumes power of the First Order and essentially asks Rey to join her. It's like, wait, you wanted to go to the light side. Which side are you on? And keeps on flip-flopping until the end of the last movie, Rise of Skywalker, where he gives his life to save Rey, and it's just like, oh my god.
So, I'm going to take a hot takeaway here that you probably aren't going to like, that I think a lot of people aren't going to like. Kylo Ren's dichotomy is not written the way that Luke's dichotomy was in the original series. And I feel like it wasn't even written the way that Anakin's was in the prequel series. And I think that is part of the problem. So Luke and Anakin's dichotomies and their journeys were mostly written by men. And I'm getting to it. I'm getting to my point here. And that's fine. We have no problem with it. Who better to tell us about the dichotomy struggle of a man than a man? Woohoo. Yes. But Kylo Ren, they really pushed the Kylo and Rey story. They really did, because they wanted to show them as the two ends of the pole of the Force. Good and light, dark and evil, blah, 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 blah. And in doing so, they utilized the wonderful writing trope of enemies to lovers, which unfortunately is mostly written by women, successfully written by women. And I don't think for the male audience that I don't think it was as easy for the male audience to pick up on the duality struggle as it was for the female audience in this version of the series, because a lot of literature geared towards women is written in the enemies to lovers stereotype. So we see that storyline all the time. It's like, he's struggling. It's an internal battle, but he still likes her, but he still has a job to do. But he's bad, but he wants to be good for her. But he still wants to be bad because he wants power. We get that. It doesn't translate well for a mostly guy audience because they're like, what side is he on?
Okay, 2 things on that. Number 1, for the enemies to lovers crowd out there, you cannot change them. This is speaking real life here, okay?
Yeah, girls, you can't change them.
If you find yourself in a relationship where you think you're in an enemies to lovers, you're not. You can't change them. And even if you could, the fact that you want to change them means that this is not probably going to work out. Just
Don't get
say
your
it.
dating advice from Star Wars.
So that's one thing.
There's a lot of parts of why that's relevant.
Second, when it comes to, as soon as Kylo Ren first took the helmet off, I had a thought cross my mind. You know what it was?
I know what our dad's thought was. Because he said it out loud.
Podcast.
Yeah.
We're not saying that here. But my
It was family friendly. He just made an observation.
my first thought was, oh great, we're in Twilight again. Because that's what. Didn't it feel like Star Wars version of Twilight?
There were times, yes, it did.
It's just like, okay, and I this is nothing against Adam Driver.
No, he's a
Because
really
he-
good actor.
Adam Driver's a good
He
actor.
had a lot of big shoes to fill because when you had 6 movies talking about Anakin to Darth Vader and his struggle between the light and the dark side, that is a tough act to follow for anybody.
Especially because now you have to add in a completely new character.
Exactly. But, you know, going off of what you're saying, I feel like they wanted his journey to mirror both, more so his grandfather, Anakin, than Luke's journey.
Yeah.
But it was not translated well to the screen. It was not shown to us the eternal struggle that was going on to him.
Also, this is just me. My thoughts on the sequel series is that we've seen the light, we've seen the dark, we've seen the pole go both ways. It's now time to embrace the middle
Leaving
ground.
things alone.
Yes.
No, the gray, not the light, not the dark, but the gray. The sequel series was a perfect time to start highlighting the fact that not everything is black and white, not everything is good and evil. There are shades of gray. To quote another thing that Gwendolyn Christie has in another one of her projects. Anywho, but they didn't do that. They still focused on the light versus dark, which, yes, I get that's the overall point of it, but it's like, but that's the closest they got, and I was so proud of this, was when Yoda's Force Ghost is talking to Luke because Luke is being little whiny Skywalker on the island. And you know what? He deserved all those porgs bothering him for all time. Anywho, and he freaks out because the sacred texts are burning. Read them, you have?
Page turners.
Page turners, they are not.
And going off of that, though, it's like at the end of Return of the Jedi, we actually see Luke kind of embrace both the light and the dark side because, you know, he was raised by Obi-Wan and Yoda teaching him the light side of the Force, but he also inherits the dark side of the Force from his father, Anakin.
Yes.
And so, and in the, you know, it's setting, and in the Mandalorian series, he does show up to kind of still have the notion of the old Jedi teachings, but kind of starting to move further away from it. And it's just like Luke was supposed to be the first one to inherit both, to embrace both the light and the dark, but they didn't do that.
They chucked it out the window.
They chucked it out the window and essentially made Luke a whiny little and was like
a grouchy old man living alone on an island.
Yeah, all because
A Grinch.
But not as cool as the Grinch.
All because when he started his Jedi Temple, his nephew, Ben Solo, was Force sensitive, and he sensed the dark side was brewing in him. And what did he decide to do? grab his lightsaber and almost behead his nephew.
Yeah, and then his nephew wakes up
Just
to
like
his
Dad did.
uncle standing over him, about to kill him with a lightsaber. I'm sorry, and there was a question as to why he ran away from you and wants nothing to do with you. There was a question there.
And yet Luke did all that, but yet he saved his father, who also embraced the light side, even though he was been on the dark side for years. But yet your nephew shows the same tendency as your father. Instead of cutting it off at the source, you're like, nope, gonna kill him.
Hey,
That's just lazy.
Anakin outright slaughtered an entire room of children.
Yes. Like father, like son.
Ben just had a bad dream.
Now,
And suddenly he had to die.
I will say though,
I
will say,
little much.
if they started out like Luke in a moment of weakness, seeing the dark side in Ben and raising his lightsaber basically like out of instinct to destroy this child that has the darkness buried in him, and then he realizes what he's doing, puts the lightsaber away, and then talks to Ben, that could have been, and then that was the end of it. That could have worked.
And this is why I avoid people with the last name Skywalker like the plague. Because do these men sit and think and talk about stuff? No, they don't.
Now, I do.
None of them do.
That's
And yes,
not-
I realize that Ben is technically a Solo, but he's half Skywalker. So he's guilty by association.
But also, Luke was just poorly written in The Last Jedi. Just poorly written.
Yes, but even before that, I mean, he was like, it just honestly, if I would lived in the Star Wars universe, and after all this time, I had somebody come up to me and go, "Oh hi, my last name is Skywalker." Nope, get off my ship, get off my planet, get away from me.
Get out of the
Badness
system.
follows you, people. Okay, this one killed a whole school of younglings. This one is just a grouchy old man. That one killed Han Solo. The daughter is good most of the time, but one could argue that's because she didn't know she was a Skywalker for most of her life. Leia.
Oh, yeah. I was like, who are you talking about?
Leia, who did not know who she was for most of her life. So I'm like, once they've been given the Skywalker name, it's just like, get away from me. You bring badness, you bring bad luck, you bring bad juju. Unless you're bringing me a droid named R2-D2, go away.
Now, I think it's worth mentioning why, for our least favorite character, we didn't say Rey. For me, it's because I don't see Rey as a character as a problem of the character. I see her character problem more because the writing is just bad.
Yeah.
She had potential to be a good character, but they just fumbled the balls really hard.
Yeah.
They were trying to write her like Luke 2.0, but it just
That whole thing between
It just,
changing directors who wanted different outcomes for her.
Yeah.
is-
I think what they started, so in The Force Awakens, her backstory is the same as Luke and same as Anakin.
Yeah.
She's found on a desert planet, she's a scavenger, she's a pilot, but yet
she wears white.
She's force sensitive to a degree, and then she's learning how to develop her force abilities through a master. And then in The Last Jedi, they specifically state that Rey is a nobody. Rey does not her parents were nobodies who just left her on Jakku, and then that was it. I was like, okay, great. This is like taking the whole new story in a new direction. She is not related to anyone in the
Psych,
original.
she's a Palpatine.
Such a missed opportunity, because I'm sorry, I was with the fandom who was like, make her related to Obi-Wan, make her related to Obi-Wan, make her related to Obi-Wan.
Psych, she's a Palpatine.
What?
Yeah. And she's so powerful because she's a Palpatine. And yet and in that sentence, you creatively destroyed her autonomy.
And how many people when that realization happened went, Palpatine reproduced?
Ew.
This, you,
He actually found somebody who wanted to spend time with him?
I mean, he did have a wife.
Really?
but there's like another big issue with the sequel trilogy, and this is a problem that can be faced with a lot of sequels. And if you're going to write a sequel, it's important that you do not demean or diminish what the original did, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, example, Harry Potter got the stone from Voldemort. Okay? Nothing we did in the sequels diminishes that. That happened.
Okay.
In the original trilogy, Anakin Skywalker kills Darth Vader and Palpatine and brings balance to the Force.
Yes.
Yes.
And is redeemed, showing up as himself in Force Ghost form and handing off the Force to Luke and the
I
next
think you
generation.
got off a little too easy there, but okay.
And then 30 years later, the First Order pops up because apparently we're that bad at making sure that Sith and their compatriots don't start killing everybody. And he didn't even kill Palpatine. So he didn't redeem himself. So
They completely undid Luke's accomplishment.
All right. So.
they completely undid Anakin's accomplishment.
They undid everybody's accomplishments.
All right. I think we bashed the sequel trilogy enough for right now.
You know what I'm surprised nobody has bashed yet? About the prequel trilogy. And I'm not talking about Jar Jar Binks. I'm not talking about how Amidala had the most insane wardrobe. I'm talking about
I don't like sand.
that.
Of course, it gets everywhere.
The worst. Like, the sequel series suffered from some bad writing. But nothing was as bad as the sand monologue.
Oh, every trilogy has some bad writing. Like
The sand.
the obvious choice for the new ones is somehow Palpatine returned. You wrote that down. I'm sure this might have been just we'll pencil in what the reason is later, and we forgot to do that. But there are other examples of like that in the earlier trilogies. For example, in the original trilogy, Leia says, somehow, I've always known. And you still kissed your brother?
Yeah, we don't like to talk about that. That's...
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. All right. So, kind of switching gears here to the other side. What is everyone's favorite Star Wars moment or favorite Star Wars movie? Because we've been talking a lot.
We've been talking about a lot of the negative. Let's talk some of the positives.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some of my favorite moments. Well, at least we're still flying half a ship.
We are still flying
Half
half
shit.
Anything with Ian McGregor. honestly, okay.
Kenobi.
My favorite parts, my favorite moments. So, obviously anything with Ian McGregor because he just did such a good job.
Yeah.
Round of applause for Ian McGregor, everybody. Woohoo. Okay, so I'm gonna divide it by parts. Okay, so in the original.
Mm-hmm.
In the original series, I think my favorite was probably Darth Vader Force Choke.
When he's Force choking, it's like, you have no idea what the Force is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was like one of the first times we see like just the sheer awesomeness of his power, and it really stuck with me, and I was like, wow, that's cool.
Okay.
For the prequel series, it's going to be Yoda versus Count Dooku fight.
Yeah, when we
Chef's kiss.
When we first see him pull out his lightsaber, everyone was like,
Yeah. But yeah, that was arguably my favorite fight because it was like, growing up, you know, Yoda was just the old Muppet who lives in the swamp.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything.
With a funny way of talking.
Yeah, and now it's, oh, you messed up. You messed up so bad that this guy, who hasn't even gotten to retirement yet, is going to come out of retirement and kick your butt. In the sequel series, it's the fight with the Knights of Ren.
Okay.
Because I loved the cinematography of it.
Okay.
And then for the overarching entire series, my favorite thing is anytime R2-D2 is clearly talking smack behind somebody's back, which is pretty much all the time.
Okay. Colin?
For the prequel series, it's, well, we're at least flying half a ship.
We're at least flying half a ship.
For the original series, I have to say, when anytime Vader is really, so is it Vader and Tarkin playing off each other. Tarkin was a cool guy, and they tried to do that in the sequel. Didn't
work as well.
But I like Tarkin.
Okay.
He was a cool non-Force guy.
Yeah, he just
who was on the evil side.
Yeah, he's just an Imperial officer.
Everyone needs a Han Solo.
It's nice to not rely completely on the space wizards for all of our important characters. And in the sequel trilogy, my favorite moment is probably when Luke is teaching Rey. As you feel that? That's the Force. Really? And then smacks her. like
no.
I mean, part of you has to wonder how much of that was scripted and how much of that was Mark Hamill just being a weirdo.
You must reach out. Not literally. Alright. For me, in the prequel series, to be honest, I have so many, but my favorite is kind of a tie between Obi-Wan and Anakin's lightsaber battle on Mustafar, because that is just, you said Yoda's fight with Count Dooku was Chef's Kiss. For me, that was Chef's Kiss.
I mean, it was.
Just the fact that they were going so fast, so much was happening, it was just so cool. And then, again, kind of like on the other side, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul. Because when you saw Darth Maul in the trailer with the double-sided lightsaber, that has never been done before, and everyone was just like, oh, that's a thing?
We were all so excited for this
so
new villain.
Awesome!
Like, for a moment, it was almost like, Darth Vader who?
Yeah. For the original trilogy, I mean, I know this is kind of like a cliche, but Darth Vader's his first entrance. Like, when after the Imperials take over Leia's ship, and he just walks up, sees all the carnage and destruction, and you're just like, that guy is awesome.
That's an important person.
Yes, and then in the sequel trilogy, even though I hate The Last Jedi, I hate it.
I think he hates it.
That one moment where Admiral Holdo flies the rebel ship into light speed to split the Star Destroyer in half, I'm like, okay, that was cool. That is a cool moment. The rest of the other movie is dumb, but that was a cool moment.
Cool visually didn't really make sense,
cool
visual.
But kind of going off of my second one, though, favorite Star Wars movie. Oddly enough, my favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One.
That one was good. As a standalone, not part of a trilogy. It was really good.
Yeah, because that was my whole thing. Which is because from episode 3 to episode 4, that was 30 years, 20 years. A lot had to happen in that time for the Empire to essentially take over the galaxy, and then you see this one story where there's no Jedi, except for Darth Vader. But there's no Jedi involved. It's just the war between the rebels and the Empire, and then just it's done so great. And then my favorite Star Wars moment ever is the Darth Vader hallway scene at the end.
Yeah.
That showed how terrifying Darth Vader is. Because let's set the scene here. So the rebels got the Death Star plans. They beat him over to the ship. Then all of a sudden it goes dark. And you see there's an alert coming from the back. They ready their blasters. And then you just hear. And then he just ignites his red lightsaber and it glows and it's just terrifying. And they open fire and it's just like, he's just, waving his lightsaber around like it's nothing. He's just force choking everyone, throwing it up in the ceiling, and then he's just like, there's nothing they can do. They know they're going to die, but they still put up a fight, and then Darth Vader just...
It's like, what is the worst thing you could hear in the Star Wars universe?
When the air starts breathing.
You're in a dark room and the air starts breathing?
I want to change my answer for my favorite sequel trilogy.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Favorite one for the sequel trilogy was the very beginning, when we see Finn for the first time lose a fellow stormtrooper, and that changes something in him, and he realizes, I don't want to be this.
You know what?
Yeah.
That is actually, Colin, a great jumping off point segue about, I know I'm going back to the negative things, but
Finn was a great guy.
I was looking for more.
He was underutilized.
Like, I was so ready for Finn to be the new guy, to be the guy.
He didn't even have to have the Force. He just had to be...
Yeah! I mean, I remember in one of the first trailers, they show, like, him holding the lightsaber and Kylo Ren holding the red saber, and you're like, ooh, fight, 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 and then nothing? I get nothing?
Well, like, Finn even holds his own against Kylo Ren holding the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then the only reason why he stops is because Kylo Ren gets a cheap shot.
I think, ultimately, the issue with the sequel series, other than writing, because writing was a problem, is that so much was underutilized. And I think that is honestly one of the reasons why the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, why they are so good and everyone loved them and they were so groundbreaking and everything, is that George Lucas had an idea of what he wanted. He took it everywhere he could take it. Nobody wanted to do this movie because there's no way to do this movie. We don't have the technology to do this movie. We don't have the ability to do this movie. The story doesn't make sense. And he essentially said, I don't care. I want it. We're going to do it. And if the way we need to do it doesn't exist, we're going to invent it.
And that's how Industrial Lights and Magic was
And
formed.
he did not pull any... Like, I'm sure there's stuff that was left on the floor, left on the cutting room floor, ideas that never came to fruition. But literally, he was like, I have an idea. And it might be crazy. But we're going to go for it. Whereas, like, in the sequel series, it's kind of like, I have an idea. We could do this. But let's stay with a safer storyline.
That was my whole big issue with the sequel trilogy. It was just like, The Force Awakens, whether you like it or not, it is a retread of A New Hope.
Yeah.
A lot of plot beats were from the same as A New Hope, but that could be fine. But it suffered from a lack of direction.
It did.
Because it seemed like it was going one place, and then it went another way with the next one. And then it was going with this one place, and then it went another way with the next one. So it's just like, they needed someone like Kevin Feige at the start of the MCU, who had an idea, had a vision, and a way to get there. There might have been some, flops along the way, or some stumbling points along the way, but at least it was all building up to something. Whereas the sequel trilogy, it had no direction, and it kept on veering off to based on what the director wanted to do, and it was not a coherent story.
The original trilogy gave us the epic story. The prequel series gave us what led to the epic story with new effects. Because really, the only reason, like, the big thing that separates the prequel series from the original series, other than, once again, quality writing, is technology. Technology advanced.
Yeah, because for the time, the CGI backgrounds do look a little dated nowadays, but at the time, they were cutting-edge effects.
And some of them still hold their own.
Oh, yeah. And, let's not forget because of the technology advancement, lightsaber battles became better.
Yes. But then the sequel series, it didn't add anything. It didn't build off anything. It just meh.
A lot of potential.
Not a lot of follow through.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I already said my kind of like, we kind of like talked about favorite moments, but like, is there an overall favorite moment from the Star Wars series that you guys like? Or is it kind of just like based off depending what trilogy it is? Because I already said mine, it's the Darth Vader hallway scene in Rogue One. That's like my absolute favorite.
It's a very good moment because
it is a good moment.
When you see it in the theater, part of you is like, "Are we safe? Did we just manage to miss him?" Then you see like, "Oh, they're all dead."
Yep.
I would say probably my favorite. It kind of builds off of yours is from also the end of Rogue One, when we see the plans get given to Leia, and that fun fact they used
Billy Lord.
Billy Lord, who is actually Carrie Fisher's daughter, as the body for her mother, which I thought was brilliant to use. And the line, I'm trying to remember the full line, but it's like, "What is it?" And she says, "It's hope."
Yeah, it's like, Your Highness.
What have they given us? Hope.
Yeah.
And I love that because every movie, even when you're about to be thrown in a Snorlax pit, even when Han Solo is frozen in carbonite, even when you are stranded in a swamp, even when you are having to listen to this annoying kid from the desert talk about how much he hates sand, there is still hope. That's what keeps the story going.
Yeah.
And piggyback off that, one of, I think, the best moments of Rogue One is that they don't go for a happy ending with the people. They all die.
Yep.
Everyone dies at the end.
Like,
Spoilers.
It's like some
Moles.
You might think that, oh, they'll do a trick where they got captured. It's like, no, everyone died.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of moment that I feel makes it seem more real. We need moments where the bad guys win.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it just becomes too easy.
Yeah. And I think I haven't watched it yet, but there is a Disney Plus series called Andor where they kind of build off of Rogue One, and that's kind of like what they're going for. But I have to watch it. But I heard a lot of good things about it. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for our very first May the 4th. So this episode will be coming out on Revenge of the 6th. So May the 4th till Revenge of the 6th. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with us all. All right.
And with your spirit.
Next week we'll be doing the last episode of Harry Potter Fandom Forensics, right?
Yes.
Maybe the last. Definitely the last book specific. We might return to it at a later time.
Okay.
If we come with some more questions and we're in between stuff. But yes, last book, and then we'll move on to other.
Yes.
If you have suggestions of what you would like us to do Fandom Forensics on,
reach out to us.
Leave
We're on social media. Leave a comment. Send a carrier pigeon.
Yep.
Don't send a Force ghost.
Until next time.
Bye.